this is Misha, and today's video is on the FN SAFN49. This is a quasi-popular domain. People ask when we're going to be doing this video, so I thought it was time. There's not a lot of history to go into with this rifle, but it is a really nice, neat rifle. This is a self-loading rifle. Most of these were semi-only, although some were offered in select fire as well. So there are some we'll get to in a minute. It does fire a full power cartridge. And this went into development really before World War II. It was the brainchild of FN's designer, M1 Garand, who worked originally with John Browning and then later would go on to the fame with the FAL. Well, as happened with a lot of guns, World War II got in the way, so the SAFN design was shelved until about 1946-47, and then it was brought back and finished up. And this is a pretty typical gun by today's standards. We have a tilting bolt in here. We have a short stroke gas piston system under the handguard. This gas system is adjustable. We have a full-length barrel. These tend to range from about 22 to 24 inches, depending on the exact model. We have a bayonet lug that takes essentially what is a Mauser 98 style bayonet. Most all of these did have a threaded barrel, but they just had a cap on. Some would have a muzzle brake, or even a few had flash hiders, true flash hiders. Most all of these have a fixed 10-round magazine. They can be removed, but it's only removable for cleaning. So you would top them off using typical Mauser stripper clips. We have a fully adjustable rear sight here. Windage by screw, elevation by the sliding ladder. We have a safety, quite effective. Easy to get to here. One neat feature, we have a cocked indicator pin that protrudes from the bottom of the trigger guard. It's not a loaded chamber indicator, but it will tell you if your weapon is cocked. And we have a storage compartment in the butt here for a cleaning kit. It's all pretty typical. These would go into production in 1948. And really the first purchaser was Venezuela. They would purchase 4,000 of these, with deliveries beginning in 1949, and then they would later purchase another 4,000 a short time later. So they would have just over 8,000 in Venezuela. I do not have a Venezuelan version here, apologies. But it looks virtually the same as this, except it's in 7mm Mauser. It will have a ribbed butt plate without the trap for the cleaning kit. And most distinctively, it has a big muzzle brake instead of the nut. This one here is actually a Luxembourgian contract. Luxembourg would purchase about 6,000 in what was basically the original caliber, 7.62 by 63 Springfield, which was 30-06 in European speak. And these would all be semi-auto only. Belgium would actually purchase a version just like this, but that was capable of select fire. And Belgium itself would purchase about 88,000, and the Belgian Congo would purchase another 3,000, give or take, just under 3,000. Kind of odd to have a full power weapon with a fixed 10-round mag capable of full auto. I can't imagine it was that useful or used that often. Belgium would actually use its FN49s quite a bit in the Korean War. They would send soldiers to fight alongside other UN and NATO troops in Korea, and so the FN49 would see combat there. The M1 Garand also saw combat in that theater, so kind of interesting that they went together. Another major purchaser of this design was Egypt. Now we have a full video on Egyptian guns, so this is kind of a retread here. This is my Egyptian FN49, as seen in the other video. The Egyptian version was chambered for 8mm Mauser. And they selected this cartridge because they already had a bunch of Mauser bolt actions, so they wanted to kind of stick with what they knew. It's a little bit different. The standard infantry model has a muzzle nut. The sniper marksman model would have a true flash hider. The bolt internally is a bit different because it lacks the firing pin safety, a little unusual there. The stock is cut a little differently back here and has a unit disc. And it has a more traditional, almost like infield style butt trap with a smaller hole. I don't know if I can get this with my finger now. I don't want to try to break it. Hurt. But it has a smaller round cleaning compartment in there. But essentially it's still an FN 49. I mean, internally, except for the not having the firing pin safety, it is the same. But Egypt would purchase about 37,600 of these. Now, they would also purchase quite a few receivers. Now, the ones that came from Belgium as complete guns would have the Egyptian crown on them. The ones they just purchased as receivers would have the Egyptian eagle. So if you're interested more in the Egyptian ones, I suggest you check out our Egyptian video. We talk a little more about the service history. But Egypt definitely used the FN 49 quite a bit in various conflicts in the Middle East in the late 50s and early 60s, especially against Israel. And they were really the only ones who used it, at least in any numbers, in 8mm. Now, the FN 49 was very popular in South America, probably most of its buyers. One of them was Argentina. The Argentinian Navy would purchase 5,500 in their traditional 7.65 by 53 cartridge. Now, this is kind of an interesting choice because Argentina initially went with this because they were able to get their 1891 bolt-action Mausers cheap because Luva in Germany had an overrun, and what they had been doing, they had been producing it as the 1889 model for Belgium. So the 7.65 cartridge was actually originally a Belgian cartridge, but by the time Argentina had ordered these in 1949, 1950, they were really the only ones using the cartridge. By that point, Belgium and most of the rest of Europe had gone to 30-06 post-World War II. So the Navy would purchase these. Now this one here is an interesting variant because later, after Argentina went to the FAL, which we also have a video on the Argentinian FAL, the FM factory, FMAP in Rosario, would rebarrel and rework these to fire 7.62 NATOs, 7.62 by 51. And this is one of the reworks. In addition to that, the biggest difference is these have a detachable 20-round magazine. It's really the only production FN 49 to use a detachable mag. Now, it's worth noting that this is a unique proprietary mag to this gun. They did not make it to take FN FAL mags. But these are well-done mags. They are made of steel and very durable. They would also make replacement parts, including stocks like this one. And yeah, they would continue to see service all the way up through the Falklands War. The Argentine Navy would use these alongside their BM-59 Model E rifles, which were also chambered in 7.62 NATO, and even a few old M1 Garands. So they would kind of take what they could get. Other South American users were Brazil and Colombia, who actually purchased 1,000, so Colombian FN 49s are quite rare. And yeah, Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela, Argentina, all purchased these in various numbers. Most of the others were purchased in 30-06. In Asia, Indonesia would purchase about 16,000, and they would use the 30-06 version as well. So that's pretty much the rundown of who used these. I know it's a number-heavy episode here, but that's really where it is. These guns were an interim step, and FN would make about 176,200 total. And production would last from about 1949 through about 1953-54, because by that point the FAL was coming online, and that's really the rifle they wanted to do. They put the FN49 in production for a couple of reasons. One, it had already been in development since before the war. It was nearly complete, so why not go ahead and do it. Two, they were trying to drum up money to further fund the FAL project. So, the gun was nearly ready. And again, as you can see, they actually were trying for unaligned third world nations. They knew that most members of the UN and NATO were going to go for the 30-06, and a lot of them had received M1 Garands and carbines after World War II or had guns of their own. And of course, the second world nations were off limits. So they pretty much went to the unaligned nations in the Middle East, East Asia, and South America. Oh, one neat feature that I forgot to mention, it has a little sliding dust cover here. It's on the side. Keeps the action clear. When you cock the bolt, it kicks it back. So you see it's in the rear, ready to go. And when you're ready to just put the gun back in safe for the march, just press it forward. Yeah, this was an interim step. The self-loading rifle was kind of a brief blip in between bolt actions, which were popular from the mid-19th century all the way through World War II, and before the automatic weapons, select fires, and assault rifles started to come online in the late 50s. So guns like this, the M1 Garand, the SVT-40, the Swedish Lumen, and so on and so forth, really, it was just a single generation, 20 years or less, that they were in frontline use. The one exception is the French MAS-49 series, which obviously went into production right after World War II and would stay in frontline service through the late 70s. But yeah, we just wanted to share the FN49 since several people had asked about it. And we have the series on the FAL, so it seemed fitting to designate this. I don't have every variant here, obviously, but I had a couple and thought it was worth sharing. Especially think this Luxembourg version is neat in 30-06. And they are very pleasant to shoot. Relatively low recoil considering how powerful the cartridge is. But yeah, if you have any questions or just want to talk FN49s, let's chat in the comments below. If you like this video, please do click like, and we really appreciate you tuning in. And check with us soon for new videos.